Would you hurt an innocent person just because someone in a lab coat told you to? In 1961, Stanley Milgram conducted one of the most controversial and revealing studies in the history of psychology. The goal was to test how far ordinary people would go in obeying authorities, even if it meant harming another human being. Participants told that they were a part of a study on learning and memory. Each session included a teacher, the real subject, and a learner who was actually an actor.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher. Where?
The teacher was instructed to administer electric shocks of increasing intensity every time the learner gave a wrong answer. In reality, no shocks were delivered, but the learner, hidden behind a wall, screamed in pain, pounded on the wall, and eventually went silent.
You refuse to go in. Let me out.
Refuse to go in.
The participants, visibly distressed, often questioned the process, but when urged by the experimenter with simple phrases like, "Please continue," or "The experiment requires that you go on," most obeyed.
Standing, I'm not going to kill that man in there. I mean, who's going to take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
All right, next one, slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
Unbelievably, 65% of participants went all the way to the maximum voltage, 450 volts, a level labeled as danger, severe shock.
5 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering for less voltage. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Milgram's findings horrified America. They showed that decent American citizens were as capable of committing acts against their conscience as the Germans had been under the Nazis.
This experiment was not just about psychology, it was born from the ashes of Holocaust. After World War II, Nazi officers at the Nuremberg Trials justified their crimes by saying, "I was just following orders." That defense shocked the world and haunted Stanley Milgram. He wanted to know, could ordinary people under pressure from authority commit unthinkable acts? His experiment didn't just answer that question, it reflected the darkest lessons of human history. And that's what makes it so terrifyingly relevant today. This experiment demonstrates the power of authority and how easily people can commit harmful actions when they believe they're following orders. It helped explain human behavior in extreme situations like war crimes or institutional abuse, and raised major ethical concerns in psychological research. Even today, Milgram's work reminds us how critical it is to question authority, especially human well-being is at risk.